Do you guys like the intros that we do when we're like talking in the background?
What do you mean?
You know, like we do, like it's us talking, and then it's the intro, and then the show starts.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. Makes it fun.
No, that's how it should be.
Makes it organic.
Well, it's like the lead-in.
Yeah.
They call it a lead-in, isn't that what it's called?
Well, think about it. If you're going to watch a TV show, they're going to give you the first, like, How I Met Your Mother. The first, like...
Yeah, they do the one thing.
Pointless. It's just like a gag.
Okay.
And then it goes, ba, 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 and then the show starts.
All right. That's a good point. I didn't really think of it like that. You guys are going to need to get way closer to your mics.
Yo.
Howdy doody.
Howdy doody.
He's like, duty.
He duty.
All right, let's do this. You guys ready?
Yup.
Yo.
Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Lights, camera, action.
What's up, everybody? We are the Three Amigos and a Podcast, episode 26. We're just watching the Titans steamroll the Jaguars right now. Derrick Henry had a 99-yard touchdown, just ran in another touchdown. This dude's a beast.
He is making somebody's fantasy team very happy right now. If he started him.
Or making somebody really sad, whoever's playing against him.
Somebody just like...
Or somebody very mad if they left him on the bench.
Yeah.
Very true.
Those are the three outcomes.
Those are the three true outcomes of fantasy football.
Yeah, he's having a game, man.
He is.
He's like, they can't even touch him. I mean, they're touching him. They're not tackling him.
Yeah, I'd be afraid to tackle him.
Yeah,
he's
big,
huge.
Yeah,
is he
giant
like,
refrigerator running at you.
How tall is he? He's probably like
6'4", 6'3".
Yes, I was just gonna say 6'3", 6'4", and he's like what, almost 250.
But he looks built like muscle, not like Jerome Bettis, where he was just kind of like
that's what I mean, dude.
Lineman moving. He
imagine
strong.
a refrigerator running at you. That's what that is. He is a man.
Why do they call him the bus? Because he's afraid to fly?
Because he hates to fly. Oh man. Well, it was a little bit of a busy weekend. Brandon and I went on the All Bad podcast, which is Brandon Brothers Enrique's podcast. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Different topics for us. We weren't really talking about sports. It was more or less a little
like, music, some basically like
about life, Christmas. We went over Christmas movies. Ryan, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like Elf.
Okay.
That was Philly Phil's pick.
Yeah. I said Four Christmases. I love that movie.
Oh, Four Christmases for sure. I like Four
Thank you. Brandon was giving me some flack at first for it.
I love that movie.
No, I know you like that movie. Yeah. I actually want to change mine. Mine's for I said Santa Claus and I gave it some thought. Jingle All the Way is my favorite. Have you ever seen that?
Really? That's a really good one too, though.
I love that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Give me the dough.
Put the cookie down now.
No.
I like that one. That's a good one too. But yeah, it was a good time, man. Ryan, you got to come on with us next time. We'll do next time. We'll do a true Three Amigos in a podcast feature.
Yeah, sorry. I got off work and I immediately ran home to watch the Charger game.
Yeah.
Hey, they came through for you though.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
He's excited.
We're going to go over the NFL Week 12. But Ryan, you got your marriage license this week.
I did.
Earlier before the podcast, I just signed it as a witness. So I guess that means you guys are officially married, which is neat.
We are married.
Well, so you don't have to actually do the ceremony now, right?
We do.
No.
I was telling somebody
it's for show. If they don't, then they don't get the registry gifts.
Right. So the way that it works is once you get the document, you have 90 days to get it signed by witnesses and your officiant. So it's for religious people whose marriage is more through religion, which obviously a Catholic priest will be marrying us. But as of this point, we have 90 days to get the paperwork filled out and then resubmitted to get our official certificate back. So technically right now for the next 90 days, we're legally married.
Oh.
Yeah, yo.
Nice.
Yeah. She had to write Shaylee Sturdivant for the first time.
Very nice.
How did it sign? How did the last name?
Well, it's funny because she signed it Shaylee Simonton. I was like, hey, what the fuck, man?
You got it.
Wait, I signed it Dean Sturdivant. Is that not how it works?
No,
I did it wrong.
You get to keep your name.
Okay. Oh man.
But yeah, it was a good time. It was weird down there. I texted Dean when we were there. Lots of military. I mean, good for them. But it was in the courthouse. Like the people are actually getting their ceremonies done it was primarily military, and it's just
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because if you're in the military, you get married. It's like you get double the benefits. You get double the amount for housing and for provisions or whatever. Like they give
hopefully they're doing it for love, but we know.
But we know. But yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they probably just are like, yeah, let's just get married real quick. Let's go there. That's interesting.
Yeah, but it was easy. We got.
What was it? It was just downtown?
Yeah, at the courthouse. We got in and out of there relatively quickly. We had an appointment booked. It was funny because Shaylee's mom was like, "Oh, why are you guys getting it so soon?" I was like, "It has to be done within 90 days. We're getting married in 72." She's like, "Oh,
wow, dude, it's coming up quick."
Yeah, man, it's coming around the corner.
Man, that is really quick.
There's a lot
going to happen.
I could still return a shirt from like, I don't know, Target or something. That
I know, right?
Yeah, well, you're 18 days. You still have 18 days to spare, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Actually, you get like 90. That's crazy. Before the podcast, Brandon teased us with a little story that he was saying that he really wanted to save for the podcast. So
yeah,
I've waited long enough. I want to hear it.
This story's pretty insane. I actually had no idea this guy. Okay, so I'm a recruiter, so I reach out to these people with a job that our firm has, and they obviously have some interest in the role, and they get back to me, and I try to get them a job essentially. So one of the guys that I had sourced, he was a general manager overseeing a Fanatics fulfillment center, which if you know
sports.
Yeah, Fanatics, like they distribute. They're
the fathead guys, right?
No, Fanatics is the company that works with the NFL. They work with other sports. It's the main source that gives out the jerseys.
So yeah, they do all the customized jerseys. Yeah, it's all sports and fan gear basically. And so this guy, he was married and actually still married, which that'll be crazy once you hear the story. He he ended up started dating one of the girls who actually worked there. She was an operations manager overseeing one of their customer service centers there. And both of them were technically married. However, they were, separated with their significant other.
Okay, yeah.
And so they were hooking up for a few months or so. Well, anyways, the husband of the estranged wife, I think that's the term that they use, he wasn't willing to let go. So he was, that
like he's still trying to keep the marriage alive.
He wants
but
to,
the
yeah.
other girl's like,
she's like, I want out.
I want to date other people. Yeah.
So she's dating this guy who's, obviously her boss, overseeing the entire facility, and this guy ends up being like crazy stalker. He finds out that who he is. He knows like exactly who he is, and he finds out that they're hooking up. He's actually at the wife's house. And this guy comes in, literally guns blazing, kills the wife, kills her best friend, and tries to kill the guy. And the guy takes off through the garage, trying to escape.
Holy shit!
So this guy is a witness to a double murderer, and he ends up having to testify for the guy. The guy literally just got put on death row 2 days ago. It was like a unanimous decision or whatever.
Oh
and yeah, this is like
Wait, so the guy that was in the house that was the witness. He was the guy that you hired for the position.
Well, that I'm trying to get.
That you're
hired.
trying to get placement for.
Yes. And so he's a witness to the double murder. He was the one hooking up with the woman who was murdered and her best friend who was there. And he's like former military too, and he's a big dude.
Yeah.
And for him to like just get scared and take off too, that's like,
damn,
whatever,
dude. That's crazy.
But this is the crazy part. He's still together with his wife that he was having an affair against her.
Yeah.
They have 4 kids together and they're still together.
Oh.
Well, yeah.
How can the wife be willing? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure that right now it's just temporary. Like he just saw something traumatic, and
but this is like 3 years ago.
Let's figure.
This is 3 years ago.
Wait, it happened 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2015
is when the murder went down, or when the cheating went down.
When the murder went down,
and the cheating went down.
Well, yeah, both.
But
and they're still together now.
Yeah.
Jesus. Dude, my mind is all sort of
This
blown.
is- it's
what the
like-
hell?
This is like real shit, though. It was like something like out of a movie, though.
Where did this happen?
So
Can you
they
say?
they
or-
hooked up in. It's like you can watch the whole testimony and trial on YouTube. The guy's name's Lamar Duberly. If you feel,
Oh my!
if you
Just put
feel
him
like,
on blast.
if you feel like looking it up,
I'm like sitting here like, is Brandon allowed to say
I don't
this
know
stuff
if you're
right
allowed
now?
to
it's. I mean, it's
public knowledge.
It's public
Yeah,
knowledge.
yeah, yeah.
Actually,
went
to be
down
honest,
long
this guy
ago.
never told me any of this, and I actually presented his background to one of the guys who's actually heading the search, and he usually just like Googles a person's name to see what people have to say about him,
Yeah.
and all he sees is just all this stuff on like.
Dude, that's
all the. It was a big trial apparently,
crazy.
but yeah, just some people can't let go.
Holy
That's
shit.
dude. Oh my goodness. That's I don't even know how to go from here with the pod. That was crazy.
Well, it took like a
Jesus.
weird turn because you're just thinking like,
Yeah.
You're
Well,
like-
the fact it took a weird turn because I thought like, oh, maybe it was during this, but now the fact that it's like in the past, and there goes Derrick Henry for touchdown number three. Another, what is that, like a 30-yarder?
That was a 55-yard
55. Dude,
Wow.
this guy has over like 200 yards. That's crazy.
well,
Dude,
let's
I
get.
feel
Let's,
bad. I feel bad for Derrick Henry because I'm still in shock, so I can't really.
I know, I don't know how to process everything.
Let's change the
That's
topic back
crazy,
to
dude.
sports, something a little more upbeat. But
Yeah,
still.
yeah. We'll move it over now. My mind's blown that's
Dude.
like a story out there. Did you find it? You were the one that found it?
So no, I didn't find it. My boss, who I presented the guy to, he tried to play it off like there was no real reason why he was like trying to leave Fanatics, but
That's clearly a reason.
yeah, that's clearly the reason.
Like, yeah,
He's
I would
got
be trying
trying
to
to
get
put
out
that in
too.
the rear view mirror.
Damn, I'd be like,
my
I want a new
gosh.
job and I want to move out of the state. Like, give me somewhere else.
Yeah, that I felt bad for the guy, and I looked. This
Feel
is
bad
this
for everybody involved.
this is the real sad part. Is I looked on YouTube, and there's so much hateful stuff that people are saying about the guy Lamar. Like
people are just disgusting.
Yeah,
with
people-
it, man.
like there's
People
like so many
hate him.
internet
I'm like-
trolls out there.
I'm like, well, okay, yeah, it's not okay to cheat on her, but still, they're like, you should have taken a bullet for her. I'm seeing like comments and stuff like that, and like I don't see one comment in support of the guy, and I feel bad for these people.
They're all internet trolls, man. I mean, like
Yeah. I
at the
saw
end of
this.
the day,
yeah.
like there's no rhyme or reason to be killing somebody.
There's no
besides,
reason
like,
for it.
I mean, in severe self-defense situations, and still like that's insane.
And for
to
him
be
to-
able to witness both of that
Yeah.
and escape. I mean, God, that dude's probably gone through so much therapy right
Oh
now.
yeah.
Well, and how messed up do you have to be that you're not willing to let go of someone, that you're willing to kill her?
So,
Yeah.
do you guys watch that OJ like documentary thing that he released on like Fox News a couple months back?
No, I
was
try to
like-
stay away from OJ.
It was like this
now.
whole thing of like he wrote a book and it was like
It's
if
called
I
did.
did
It was originally called I Did It.
Yeah, but then they changed it like
Yeah.
if I did it. And he was saying like the worst part about it is I'm so angry with her and there's nothing I can say. And it's like, dude, I mean, you don't need to kill somebody. You could just have a conversation. Like, not saying OJ did that. I'm just saying like in this situation.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Damn, man, that's woo. All right, well let's lighten it up a little bit. I wanted to bring this up to you guys' attention. The NHL owners just voted and they decided that they're going to create a 32nd team in the NHL. Seattle's getting a team. Hockey's coming back to the state of Seattle. It's going to
Nice.
start.
They should definitely have one there,
Yeah, it's gonna,
as opposed to 2 in LA for some reason.
Okay, they just decided to add a 32nd team.
Well, yeah,
They had an odd number of teams.
the Vegas Knights was a 30.
Oh,
team.
gotcha.
And
Okay,
then-
yeah.
But usually
okay.
when they expand, it's usually like 2 at a time.
Yeah. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
more
so
sense.
now
I was like,
they're-
okay, wait a minute.
So
It's
now
because
they're doing
their
the
playoff
32nd.
format's different, though. That's why.
Yeah, they can go for
That's
it.
awesome. No, Seattle. I mean, ever since they lost the Supersonics, that community definitely is deserving of another team. So hopefully it can grow out there.
Yeah.
I know the Mariners are struggling
So,
mightily. So
there's a little like voting poll and all this stuff for what to name the team. I just want to, off the top, you guys have any names that you think of? I want to give you the top 3, but you guys go first.
no, because I have no idea. Give us the top 3.
All right, fine. So number 3 is the Rainiers. The Rainier Mountain Range is the range in Seattle. It's like the hillside. The number 2 is the Totems. That was their NHL team between 1944 and 1975. So that's the name of the old hockey team in Seattle. And then the number 1 is Sockeyes, because the sockeyed salmon is...
I'm going to go with the Rainiers.
Well, the one I was thinking of is like the Needles, like the Space Needle, Seattle Needles.
Dude, there's nothing intimidating about... Oh, we're playing the Needles today.
Dude, Needles are scary as hell.
Yeah, dude, Needles could be scary.
Dude,
how scary is a Padre?
You guys don't watch Game of Thrones, do you?
You know how many kids scream when they have to get a shot?
I watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I like Sockeyes the best, because you see anytime there's a football game in Seattle, they always go to that meat market and they're throwing the fish around.
Yeah.
You know, it's always a sockeyed salmon. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Those are some pretty good names, though. It's
That's-
definitely
yeah,
better than the
Sockeye.
Padres minor league options. that they
The
had
Sod
going.
Poodles.
The sod poodles. Oh, man. The other thing I want to bring up before we get into NFL and NCAA and MLB, all these other things that we're going to cover, is NHL news. The IIHL World Juniors Classic Championship is coming up December 26th. It's going to be hosted in Vancouver.
You say the junior?
Yeah.
Junior
the
leagues?
junior, it's like the
Minor
World
league?
Junior Championship is kind of like the up and coming guys. It's like a bunch of college, the more or less the college students and who's going to be the top picks.
Hughes brothers are supposed to be headlining that team. Quinn and Jake. Quinn was the number 7 overall pick last year by the Canucks, and his brother Jake is supposed to go towards the top 5 next year. So good hockey family. It'll be fun to watch them.
You know, one of the things I was thinking about, speaking of brothers, I know this is off topic, but what if Nick Bosa went to the Raiders and the brothers had to play against each other?
Well, it wouldn't be as interesting as the Steelers-Chargers game where T.J. Watt and... damn it.
With Derek Watt?
Derek Watt, yeah. It's funny.
You heard that thing?
Before we get started, his name is like Derek Joseph Watt.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Why don't they call him DJ? You have JJ, TJ, and Derek.
Maybe he...
Isn't the younger brother like AJ or something?
No,
or the dad or something? Isn't that?
Yeah, I mean, they're all something J.
But maybe he just wants to be his own guy. He's like, I don't want to be...
Well, he's also a fullback, so...
So, I don't know.
So I don't know.
But yeah, it's awesome, man. I was wondering if you guys wanted to start with NCAA before we get into the NFL first.
Yeah. I had put it kind of farther down the list, but let's get into it first. College football playoff bracket was announced. Was it yesterday? Yesterday, December 5th. It's Alabama coming in number 1, Clemson at number 2, Notre Dame number 3, and Oklahoma number 4. Brandon, I know you're not huge into college football. Have you read anything or seen anything about these teams?
The extent of my college football is knowing that pretty much Alabama dominates every year, and Ohio State's pretty good.
Yeah,
Ohio State didn't even make it.
They didn't make it?
They were the team to me that I felt like got a deserving chance. With that being said, Oklahoma's well deserving, going out and basically beating the team that gave them their one loss on the year in the Texas Longhorns. That's huge.
That was huge. That was
to be able to come back from your one loss and beat them in a championship game. I definitely think that they deserve the number 4 spot.
I think the one team that's not deserving is Notre Dame.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that pisses me off is if you look at their schedule now, they beat Michigan, they beat USC, which are 2 teams which ended up being irrelevant in their conference. Obviously, being 12-0. That's a huge feat, but I put them in the same conversation that I do Central Florida. If you're not going to play against competitive teams, you don't deserve a chance at the playoff. With that being said as well, Georgia was very close to beating Alabama this week.
Yeah.
Very close. It came down to a 4th and 8 or something
and
like
you
that.
I feel like their ranking didn't really take a hit just because the Tua got hurt. Jalen Hurts goes in. So, anytime there's kind of a mix-up at a captain position like a quarterback, it's kind of hard to say, this team is falling short of what their true standing is. But Jalen Hurts came in and he looked amazing.
Yeah, he did. He looked good. I mean, Alabama's obviously, they're undefeated. No questions with Alabama, no question with Clemson. And like I said, Oklahoma was definitely deserving. I would love to see Ohio State in there, though. The way that they're playing now, Haskins is also one of the players up for the Heisman Trophy. if I had a vote, he'd have mine. I know he's not going to win it, but very well deserving of the Heisman Trophy. And to have 3 Heisman finalists in the 4-team playoff would have been huge. That would have been amazing for college football. To me, it just goes to show, obviously, like they want to expand the college football playoff eventually, and that's going to hinder some of these non-conference games. To me, it just looks like it doesn't even need to be a top 8. It needs to be a top 6.
Yeah.
Every year, I feel like there's one team that gets left out. And if you look at the top 8 right now, LSU would play Alabama, and Alabama's already trampled them once, and that's not a game that needs to be played.
Yeah, exactly.
But a top 6 and giving the first 2 teams a bye, I think would completely fix the college football playoff.
Yeah, I agree.
It's good.
I want to go up with the matchups with you. So we have the Orange Bowl first, and that's going to be Alabama and Oklahoma. Then we have the Cotton Bowl with Clemson and Notre Dame. Just my take on them, I think Alabama is going to steamroll Oklahoma because Oklahoma hasn't faced a defense this year. When they face a team that's going to have a good defense, I think they're going to get shut down.
Yeah.
And then Clemson and Notre Dame. Clemson's just a good all-around team. Like we said, Notre Dame.
Their defense is so underrated. They have so many players that are going to be first, second-round picks in the NFL draft next year on that front 7.
But just the fact that they're sitting there at number 3, it's kind of like you said.
Notre
they're
Dame?
they're trying to expand like the college playoff a little bit or get other teams in there. I know they had an undefeated season, so that's something, but still.
No, I think Clemson's going to run away with that game. Freshman Trevor Lawrence has played phenomenal. I think that if he shows up and he completes passes like he's been doing, they're not going to have a problem running through Notre Dame. Oklahoma, obviously I'm heavily favoring Alabama, but I think they have a chance if they can take a play out of the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Patriots last year. If you can forget about pace of play and you can just turn it into a shootout, you have a chance.
Yeah, because that's really how they won all of their matchups.
Yeah. And it almost has to be because the more you can keep the offense off the field and the quicker you can get the defense off the field, the better chance you're going to have of beating Alabama because they're dominant on the defensive side and they're dominant on the offensive side.
Yeah. Well, let's just go through who do we see the top 2 teams going into the college playoff championship?
To me, it's Clemson and Alabama for sure. I think we're going to see another repeat. And I don't sleep on Clemson beating Alabama either. Like I said, they're going to be a better team than Alabama's faced all year. Alabama pisses me off, man. They've played against garbage in all of their non-conference games.
Yeah, we've talked about that. It's like a lot of fluff.
Yeah. And they have to fix that. You basically tell Central Florida that they're not good enough because they don't play enough talent, but you allow Alabama to play 4 teams that aren't even Division I schools essentially.
Yeah.
And then they're the number 1 team. So I think Alabama's going to be up against a lot if they do go up against Clemson.
Brandon, I know you don't really watch a whole lot of college football. You don't really pay attention. Just from our quick hot takes, who are you thinking?
Who am I thinking is going to go, or the top 2?
Yeah, the top 2 that are going to go or face off.
I mean, certainly I'd probably agree Clemson, Alabama, just because they have that experience. They've been there before, and certainly could be a repeat. And I feel like especially the way that the format's set up now, where they reward programs that have already established themselves more than those who are trying to make their name, which is what I think the biggest problem with college football is.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's just what I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be Alabama, Clemson, and also, with Alabama, I think they have something to play for with Nick Saban saying he's going to retire after this season. But
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he said he's
come back to pro football?
No, he just said he's retiring. So I was going to ask you guys, with that, kind of opens the door for a big name to take over. I know there was talks of who's the Rams' old
John Harbaugh, I heard too.
Yeah, but who's the Rams' old Steve Fisher?
Yeah,
Or Steve Fisher?
No, Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher might be
Steve
up for the
Fisher's
job.
the San Diego State head coach.
That's right. Yeah.
I always get them mixed up too.
Yeah. Jeff Fisher was in the mix, and yeah, like you said, Harbaugh, I mean, he could take a step back down to college. I think the money's there for sure.
I think that you're going to look at a team with the way that college recruiting goes. When Nick Saban decides to step down, if that's this year, you're going to see a lot of big-name recruits going towards a Clemson or an Ohio State or even an Oklahoma. Not so much Oklahoma because they are in a weaker division. I think the biggest thing, too, is if you look at the programs, Herm Edwards, what he's doing at Arizona State, Chip Kelly came off, not a great year, but came back and beat a team like USC at the end of the year. Harbaugh over in Michigan. There's some big names that are going to be taking over. Urban Meyer's the other guy from Ohio State who said he's going to retire. And Ohio State, obviously, they're going to take a huge hit on recruiting. Hopefully it opens up the door a little bit more for potential recruits coming into college and maybe turn the tides a little bit, for a lack of a better term.
Yeah. Right, you got to turn your mic. You're talking to the side of it. Yeah, that way. Well, let's get into the NFL now. You guys good with that?
Yep.
Felt like Brandon was silent during that whole time.
I just don't know enough college football.
It's all good, man.
Yeah. NFL Week 12, we had some interesting games. First off was that Saints losing to the Cowboys. That loss really helped the Rams, though. It put them into a better position. And the Cowboys win, that put them in the top seed.
Yeah,
It kind of showed holes in a lot of the Saints' game. Do you guys think that it makes them look a little bit more beatable, or?
I think every team in the NFL right now is showing signs of weakness and fatigue. To be honest with you, besides the Broncos, who ironically lost Emmanuel Sanders this week to an injury, to me they're the Texans. There's weaknesses in the Texans. They're obviously coming off a huge win against the Browns. But you look at some of the teams and there's holes everywhere. It's going to make for a very competitive playoff run. To me, it's wide open. Saints, Rams, to me, the Seahawks could go in and beat both of those teams right now because they're looking hot. It's definitely going to come down to who's playing their best football come playoff time.
Yeah.
Definitely. And they got a few weeks to figure it out. So
I definitely think the Cowboys were definitely the beneficiary of some favorable calls in that matchup.
Definitely, yeah.
If you go back, I think there was a lot of calls that really helped the Cowboys win that game. However, the Cowboys are playing pretty good ball right now compared to what they were doing earlier in the year, and I think that Amari Cooper trade definitely gave them some life. And I know all of us, we were kind of in that majority where we thought that was a pretty bad trade.
Yeah.
Up to this point, it looks like a pretty decent trade. It actually saved their season, and
Yeah.
Well, with the Cowboys, I hate to take a quote from Stephen A. They like to find a way to mess it up, man. So they're putting themselves in a situation. They are number one in their division. They have a full game up on the Eagles now, and as well as the Redskins. They own the tiebreaker there. And now they got to go beat some good football teams.
Yeah, so it'll be definitely interesting how they finish off the season. Like you said, they figured out with Amari Cooper how to feed Zeke, which is, kind of what they weren't doing earlier in the season. So it's
got to take the pressure off the run game.
They play the Eagles this week, so it's going to be a huge test to see how good that football team actually is. But we talked about it a few weeks ago, the three of us, with that division's going to come down to a 9-7 team. So, as much as the Redskins are hurting, going down to their third-string quarterback, I wouldn't even say they're out of it because they're going to be put in an opportunity.
And that defense is good.
Yeah.
They do have good defense.
So, like I said, 9-7 wins that division this year. So, hopefully the Cowboys can win this week and kind of solidify their position as, the tops in that division. But the Eagles aren't a bad team. Carson Wentz is a great quarterback. Their defense has been shaky at times, but the Eagles have been showing up.
I just feel like it's a lost season for the Eagles. So
yeah.
There's too many injuries, and it's just
too late to come back.
Yeah, Super Bowl hangover. It seems like
the Cowboys find a way to mess things up, though. So we'll see. And like I said, it's a huge test game. There a few times in the year you come across games for an organization where it's not necessarily a must-win when it comes to your schedule and record. But to me, this is a must-win for the Cowboys, considering that they need to solidify themselves as the number one team in that division. And yes, for the Eagles to be taken seriously again, they need to go out and they need to beat this team.
Yeah. Other big news in the NFL this week was the Packers firing head coach Mike McCarthy. That came after the Packers were defeated by the Cardinals, and the Cardinals were one of the teams that we thought is really fighting for that first overall pick. So for the Packers to almost throw that game like that, it kind of seemed like they're throwing in the hat on this season, and Aaron Rodgers is throwing in the hat on Mike McCarthy a little bit.
It's premeditated to me. They knew they were going to fire him.
Yeah.
I would have given the man at least the rest of the season before doing it.
I don't think it was necessary. I think Mike McCarthy is a phenomenal coach, and he's going to get another opportunity to coach a team. Maybe it's going to help his career to get away from Aaron Rodgers too, because we're putting him on a pedestal right now, and he has not been playing well the last several weeks. I know he's hindering from this knee injury, and that can keep him from playing to his elite potential. But Mike McCarthy is a phenomenal coach, and he's done wonders with that Packers team in worse situations. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, there's going to be another job opening for him shortly. Whether it be the Browns or another team that's finishing the year poorly.
I mean, he won a Super Bowl for them. I just think it's just not cool to can someone in the middle of the season.
It's the GM. It is 100% the GM. Yeah. They do not have a good enough roster to win. Certainly. You have a hurt Aaron Rodgers. Your team
traded away all of your wide receivers. Yeah. Make one move for Jimmy Graham, but you do nothing to support your run game.
In your defense, you drafted people, but now you have a young defense.
And now you're trading them all your good defensive pieces away.
Yeah. Clinton Dix, yep.
And then the ones that are talented, like Clay Matthews, are old now. Mm-hmm. So it's just...
Absolutely. It's not a Mike McCarthy to me. It obviously is a relationship thing there with him and Aaron Rodgers. It's not working anymore. They need a fresh start, which is fine. I would have just given him to the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a betting man, I'm definitely taking the Packers, though, coming up this week against the Falcons. Shaky Falcons team, and it seems like a Packers organization that can win games and will win a game just despite the move that they made.
I'm going to tell you not to bet on that game because Matt Ryan is playing phenomenally. I know that they're 4-8 right now, but the Packers are 4-7-1, and they lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah. No, I
that's actually a pretty good even matchup.
But when teams fire coaches, players come out differently, so we'll see.
Yeah. The Texans continued their win streak. They won 9 games going up against the Browns. Baker Mayfield, though, just looked atrocious, throwing 4 interceptions, 1 for an interception for a touchdown. Does this kind of look like the Browns of old? Is that offense stalling?
Nah, I mean, they were overmatched.
The Texans are a better team. Yeah, certainly.
They try to do a little too much. I mean, it's hard when you get down in a game. You trying to fight to get back up. You forget what the game plan is. You forget how to beat teams, and it's just to play football. It's not trying to do too much. And to me, it looked like they tried to do too much, and Baker Mayfield paid the price for it.
I think we forget too. That defense was one of the elite defenses before J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney went down, and now they're back and they're healthy. And
they got a Tyrann Mathieu back there now too.
Yeah, and so it's just that defense is, they're back to being considered, I think, one of the elite defenses.
Yeah, and it's definitely helping them win these games. I mean, Deshaun Watson is still playing, kind of towards that top tier, better than he started off the season. So
I know Dean's a Texans fan here, so I'm not trying to throw shots here, but I think that the Texans are definitely benefiting off of a very weak strength of schedule over these last 9 games. Mm-hmm. If you look at teams that they've played, and the fact that they haven't been blowing anybody out of the water besides the Browns, their defense is what's making them win. They've got to start showing some more firepower on offense, because to beat some of these teams like the Chiefs, even to go into a place like Denver, if you end up playing Denver in the first round of the playoffs, it's going to be tough because they don't show enough explosion on offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good little last 4 games for them to kind of try some different stuff on offense, or just figure out how they're going to make this thing run. They go Colts, Jets, Eagles, and Jaguars. Those are all beatable teams.
That's what I mean, dude. Their strength of schedule is so weak. It's going to be tough for them to get into the playoffs and have to play a good team.
Yeah.
I mean, theirs is arguably the softest division in the league right now, with the Jaguars on the decline like they are. I mean, the Colts have played solid of late, but earlier in the year we would have
Well, and I mean, they
them
lost
as-
the Jaguars 6-0 last week, so it's like, that's what I mean. Like the division, like you said, is just beyond weak.
Yeah. Yeah, so going into the playoffs will be interesting. We had the Broncos beat the Bengals. AJ Green went out with that ankle injury. The win puts the Broncos closer to the playoffs, kind of makes them more favorable in the hunt. I know we were talking about the Chargers earlier and how, if they win this week, they kind of solidify their position.
Not anymore,
yeah,
because
the
the Titans are beating the crap out of the freaking Jaguars. But yeah, dude, the Broncos look good. Emmanuel Sanders went out though.
Tore his Achilles. That's sad.
And now, I mean, you're looking at a rookie in Cortland Sutton who's been playing phenomenal over the last few weeks since the trade of DeMarco Murray. Their defense is elite. I don't think it's enough to get them into the playoffs anymore.
Yeah,
you mean Demaryius Thomas, right? He said DeMarco Murray.
I'm sorry, Demaryius. Yeah, since the trade of Demaryius Thomas.
I was like, DeMarco Murray, is he still playing?
No, he's retired. Yeah, so I mean, to me, that's a huge loss. It's going to put too much pressure on Cortland Sutton. Not enough weapons to utilize. Philip Lindsay's been phenomenal, though. He's been a great running back.
Really good.
Expect people to start stacking the box against him, though. I mean, they have a favorable matchup this week against the 49ers. Mullins, that kid from the 49ers, been playing his heart out, though, so you never know.
Yeah.
But to me, the way the Titans are playing tonight, especially the way that they've been playing all year, I think it's going to be hard for a team like the Broncos to catch a team like the Titans.
Their defense is pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like we mentioned, with the Saints' loss that opened up the NFC, the Rams clinched the NFC with the win over the Lions. So early in the season, but it was good to see them solidify their position. And then we had the Chargers in that close win over the Steelers.
My dudes.
I mean, it was...
Come from behind.
Yeah, come from behind that second half. I've never seen a swing so opposite of the first half.
Did you see that win-loss at...
So I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
There was 170-something wins,
I thought it was like
losses.
220.
I'm sorry, yeah. 220 wins, 0 losses, 1 tie, went down by 16, or went up by 16.
In the second half.
Dude,
right?
it was night and day.
It really was.
I thought for sure if the Steelers come out and score on that drive, game's over. This is going to be a blowout. But the Chargers stuck with it, man. Derwin James, I know you finally watched.
I did.
I know you watched.
I was forced to watch.
I watched that fourth
And so
quarter.
you got to
Sunday
see
night
why
game.
Derwin James is the Rookie of the Year.
I didn't see any of his stuff.
Oh my
but
gosh. He had
Yeah.
the interception. He had these phenomenal tackles. He had the hit against Antonio Brown that knocked him out of play to keep them from getting a first down on third down. The dude is phenomenal.
Dude's phenomenal. Yeah, he runs around. He plays hard. He plays fast, too.
Yes.
He's never still-footed. It's good to see him attack the ball like that. And,
I know you like defenders.
I do. I really
well,
like
I saw he was ranked. I think ESPN had him #1 for defensive rookie of
and
the year.
he's deserving of it. I mean, if I was a Chargers fan still and I was watching closely, I would be all over that guy, man.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, he really is.
And what pick did they get him?
17.
17.
Yeah, he fell all the way to 17, man. And then Phillip Rivers is playing like a freaking maniac right now, man.
That was really what helped them win. That was just the
third
veteran
down
leadership
conversions,
of
man.
him.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if it's because of their unlucky number 9 with kids coming up now.
Dude, that is ridiculous.
But-
9 kids.
But that was the biggest game for the Chargers.
How
to
do you
this
buy a
point.
house for 9 kids? Like, what do you do? Are you like, oh, I need 10 bedrooms? Like, what kind of house has 10 bedrooms? You know what I mean?
Phil
Like,
Rivers' house.
there's no way that you can. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's a custom house or
But,
whatever.
I mean, I will say the Steelers losing James Conner, their defense got torn apart in the second half. That's a huge loss for them. And now sitting in a position where they're opening it back up for the Ravens to come in and steal that division, they need to do a lot.
Yeah, and it was good to see, the Chargers, when they were in San Diego, they lost all those really close games. And when you have so many kicking woes over the season and for so long, to win on a game-winning field goal was just kind of,
It feels different this year, man.
It definitely
does.
was symbolic of how their whole season has been.
Yeah, it's different this year. I'm not going to say that this is a Super Bowl team, but they're exciting to watch. They're gonna give some teams a run for their money in the playoffs. Justin Jackson was huge during that game.
Yeah, and I think if the standings hold, I think the Steelers and the Chargers face off against each other in the wild card game.
It would be in.
That would be the matchup.
And that's a tough matchup to go in there twice in 1 year and beat that same team.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a favorable matchup for the Steelers, or for the Chargers. But it's exciting stuff to watch right now. And they're going to have a real – I mean, they have 2 more primetime games coming up. They play the Chiefs next Thursday. They play the Ravens the Saturday night following. It's going to be huge coming down the wire here. They still have a chance at that division, only 1 game back. We'll see.
They could seriously – I could see them going, maybe actually win at least 1 playoff game. I could see them winning.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a good football team. I definitely would prefer playing the Texans. I think that's a better matchup for them than the Steelers again.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers pretty much had their way with them in the first half. There's definitely some game film there to be able to beat the Chargers. But special teams won this game for them, which is something that has not happened in a long time. They had the punt return for a touchdown. They had the game-winning field goal.
You mean the 3 game-winning field goal?
Right? And then Joey Bosa, man. I mean, we're seeing again why this dude is as good as he is. He had that huge sack on 3rd down, or to make it 3rd and long. He's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL.
Yeah, and then we had the matchup in the NFC East on Monday night, the Eagles and the Redskins. The Redskins lose that game. It kind of, I don't know, it made it seem like the playoffs are out of the picture for the Redskins. You had Mark Sanchez coming in, like we said. Who was it? Wasn't Colt McCoy? Who was?
Colt McCoy got hurt.
Yeah, it was Colt McCoy. Ended up breaking his leg in that game. And Mark Sanchez came in. He actually looked good, though. I was surprised. Mark Sanchez looked a lot better than I really had thought he would.
I'd just like to point out that Colin Kaepernick did not get signed, but Mark Sanchez did.
Well, I think that was more or less like Mark Sanchez knew that offense. That's why.
I guess. To me, Colin Kaepernick's been out of the league for a couple years now. But if you can put him on that offense, the dude's been to a Super Bowl. If you think that you're a contending team, you don't sign Mark Sanchez.
No, I 100%
You sign
agree.
Colin Kaepernick.
I definitely agree with that statement. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like I said, he's been there. He's done it. So to me, it just seems like the Redskins just aren't confident that they're a playoff contending team.
Well,
right
we know
now.
how progressive the Redskins are with their name.
Well, they signed Reuben Foster
with
too.
with the name of their team, yeah.
And Reuben Foster.
Shit.
It's okay to beat someone, but if you kneel for the flag, that's unacceptable.
Oh, no.
Well, it's only okay to beat somebody, or it's not okay to beat somebody unless there's video evidence. Then it's not okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we didn't even cover that, the Kareem Hunt video.
Yeah.
I prefer not to touch on
Yeah,
it.
I'm okay with skipping it. Let's go over to the MLB.
Just don't beat women. Just don't beat women. That's all we'll say.
Just don't beat them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let's go to MLB. I want to do this new segment, the Be a GM. You want to save that for after all the news? Or you want to do it now?
Let's do that last.
Okay.
Do that last.
So yeah, MLB news, off season, obviously, time to make all the moves, set your team up for the future. We had the Phillies acquiring Gene Segura. I know there was talks of him going to the Padres. Looks like those are over. So the Phillies acquired Gene Segura, James Pezos, and Juan Nicasio. Nicasio, sorry. From the Mariners for Carlos Santana and JP Crawford. Just right off the bat, what do you guys think this trade is? Let's just give it a letter grade.
C.
For which team?
Let's go Phillies.
I think I think the Phillies definitely got the better end here. I do like Carlos Santana, but Gene Segura plays a pretty premium position, and Carlos Santana's kind of he's a great bat, but I feel like
it's just an even swap to me. That's why I say C. You're losing a big player, you're gaining a big player.
Yeah, but shortstop's a more premium position.
Yeah. Well, the fact that he can hit helps.
The one thing I really like about this trade too is because the Phillies are in talks with what's his name?
Manny
Machado. And the Phillies are looking to get Manny Machado, and Gene Segura, he's a shortstop player, but he's also played second and third.
Yeah.
So you can move him around if you do sign Machado. It still opens up that shortstop spot that he wants to. So that's the only reason why I think the Phillies came out victors in that trade. Also, we had the Mets. This made no sense to me at all. They got Robinson Cano, Edwin Diaz, and cash from the Mariners for Bruce Swarzak.
Jay Bruce, yeah.
Yeah, Swarzak and I think it's G. Batista. I think it's Gary Batista. And 2 prospects.
So let's just take a little look at the Mariners here and what they're doing as an organization. They had a GM there who made a lot of bad moves. Now they're trying to rid themselves of those moves. So this is why I have a lot of respect for Preller, because he realized the mistake that he made and he fixed it 100% and said, this is going to look good in 4 to 5 years. And at the pace that we're looking right now, with the with the giant amount of talent that we have, it should work. You look at the Mariners, in order to get rid of a bad contract, they had to give up their best pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, that, oh, wow. Derrick Henry getting close to 4 touchdowns. I agree with you, certainly. I think, that 10-year deal, it was like 100, he still has like 5 years left on his deal, and his production has definitely declined. And I'm talking
Robinson Cano.
Cano, I'm talking about. Last year, actually, his numbers weren't horrible, but for someone who's on the contract that he has, you have to give up top prospects to unload that type of contract, and it looks like they're going full rebuild. They had to give up their best pitcher, who's arguably one of the best closing pitchers in baseball, and package him up just to unload his contract. And I think they're giving him some cash too on that deal.
Yeah, there's some cash included.
It's just, I feel bad for the Mariners because their drought's probably going to continue for another 5 years, like you said, minimum. And especially in a tough division like that, the American League West.
Yeah. And then, the Nationals made a good move too. Well, not good move, I will say, just because of the money deal, but they strike a deal with Patrick Corbin, 6 years, $140 million. To me, it makes the Nationals look like they have maybe the best starting rotation in baseball with
it's going to help Corbin
Strasburg,
being a number
Corbin.
3. Yeah. It's going to help him. You're going to see his numbers increase as far as win-loss percentage goes, going up against number 3, number 4 starters on a consistent basis. To me, it's a hopeful move that you're going to re-sign Bryce Harper. You're trying to impress him by signing big-name free agents. The problem is the pitching for the Nationals is there. They had an off year, that's fine, but their pitching's not bad. I honestly think that if they go after another position player, they'd be putting themselves in a better situation to re-sign Bryce Harper. But that's not the way they go. They overpaid for a pitcher that's going to be their number 3 starter.
But I actually interpreted this signing as completely opposite of what you're interpreting as. I pictured this as we're closing the door on Bryce Harper. We're going to allot our money towards another starting pitcher, and we're just going to have a great pitching rotation. That's kind of how I.
And it could be that too. I totally agree.
Because they had already tendered a contract to Bryce Harper, and he basically said no. Yeah. So to me, it seemed like, all right, if you're going to offer that deal, and you're going to turn it down, then we're just going to we're going to spend that money elsewhere.
Yeah.
No, and it definitely can be interpreted either way. I don't think that, they could be planning for the future outside of Bryce Harper. It's like, hey, if we're not going to have his bat, we need to have some better arms to go to. But to me, definitely overpaid for a player that wasn't a necessity for the team. That's good money for a team that needs a number 1 starter. If the Padres were going to pay a player like that, pay a player like that, then that's understandable. They need a number 1 pitcher.
Even I wouldn't even want the Padres to spend that much for him, to be honest.
Well, I just mean from like the standpoint, like you're paying number 1 starting.
I get what you're saying.
3.
His numbers were pretty good last year, and his spread's pretty good as well. I just couldn't spend $140 on a starting pitcher who's not, Max Scherzer, Strasburg, like the top 5 best pitchers in baseball, and I don't think he's in that discussion.
Yeah, I agree. I want to take a quick time out real quick, just to say Derrick Henry broke the single game rushing record with 239 yards. He tied Tony Dorsett's record of a 99-yard touchdown.
It's not
And
not the single game record, though. Is it a Titans record?
No, I think it's the NFL single game.
That's like 296 yards.
By one player?
Yeah.
Dang.
Maybe it's the Titans one. And then he has 4 touchdowns already, so... I mean,
well,
if you started...
Well,
yeah.
if he got that one,
He didn't
did
get
he
that
get
one
it?
yet.
No, it says he has 4 on ESPN.
Did he just get one?
No, it says that he might go for 5. Yeah, it says he has 4.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry's having a
I didn't
huge
realize he
game.
had 4 already.
I knew I should have started him in fantasy.
I dropped him.
It wouldn't
Like
be
week
surprising
4.
if Davy Jones had him.
Actually, I bet you he does have him.
So it looks like
Seemed
he
like
might
a
be,
Davy
it looks like
Jones.
he's out there going for 5 now. So that'll be crazy.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, wrap up baseball. We had the Cardinals with this trade with the Diamondbacks for Paul Goldschmidt and Luke Weaver, Carson Kelly and Andy Young, all included in that deal. It was, to me, it's surprising to see the Diamondbacks give up an all-star like Goldschmidt.
Well, they lost Corbin, too, so it's like...
And yeah,
I
so
mean, it looks like to me that they're going back into rebuilding mode. And remember, this is a team that traded away Dansby Swanson, the number 1 overall pick in the draft, to the Atlanta Braves for who?
Zach Greinke didn't. Oh no, actually no. They gave up. Who was his name? That's how bad he's dropped off. His value's just dipped ever since. I can't even think of his name right now. Shelby Miller.
That's the one.
Shelby Miller got traded for Dansby Swanson, who was the number 1 overall prospect at the time.
Yeah, dude, it's the Diamondbacks are putting themselves in a hellhole here to me. I mean, they've lost way too much from what they had gained.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for the Padres because we're on the upswing, so less competition.
Right? Absolutely.
yeah. And before we get into this GM thing, I want to go over the toughest divisions in baseball coming up and just see who you guys' favorites are. First up, we have the NL East. That's always a tight division. My front runners were the Nationals, just because the moves they made in the starting rotation they have.
I feel like it's the Braves again. It's either the Braves or the Phillies. But I'd err on the Braves. It was their division last year. Look at them, and I just feel like they have that young talent's only going to get better.
So you're saying
from here.
that the best teams are coming out of that division?
Yeah, who's going to be the best team coming out of that division?
I know you're not going to say the Mets or the Marlins.
Yeah, the Braves, Nationals, and Phillies are kind of the top 3, and I think
I'm gonna say the Phillies,
Nationals.
man.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue too much there.
I'm gonna say the Phillies.
Yeah, but I mean, it definitely is a tight division. The next one is the NL Central. That's the Brewers, Cubs, Cardinals, Pirates, and Cincinnati Reds. I had the Cubs.
Yeah, it's too simple.
I think
It's
that's
too
the
simple.
Cubs.
The Brewers are not a bad team. The problem is that the Cubs lost, and they know that they have holes to fill, and they have money.
Yeah,
That's
That
something that
always
the Brewers
helps out.
don't have. So that is going to help factor into them, being a contender for the next several years. And they have players locked up, and they have money to spend.
I completely agree. I'm going Cubs as well, and I was happy the Brewers knocked them out of the playoffs last year, but it's
It's the Cubs division, man.
Yeah, it's the Cubs division.
I think these next 2 we can agree on. They are tough divisions, though. The AL East, I think the Red Sox are going to be the team coming out of that one.
It depends on what the Yankees move.
I got the Yankees, man.
Yeah, it just
I got
depends.
the
It really
Yankees.
depends on their offseason.
I mean,
for the
you
Yankees.
look at a player like JD Martinez, who's been hot the last couple of years. He's going to start declining here soon.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to stay that hot. It's never been done. I mean, the dude's putting up crazy numbers, and the Yankees have cap flexibility. They have money to spend. They have a lot of viable options out there. I think the Yankees, if not this year, the year after next, are going to take over that division.
Yeah, and then the other one was the AL West. I think the Astros are the favorite there.
Definitely.
Yeah,
So you guys
I think
oppose.
they pretty much hands down.
And then the one that's closest to us is the NL West. unfortunately, I think it's the Dodgers again, but you have the Rockies. Obviously, I think the Diamondbacks and the Giants are kind of falling off, and the Padres are up and coming, but
Yeah, it's just
still a little ways away.
Again, and it comes down to money, and I'm happy that Dave Roberts got to sign his deal to be the coach for that team for the next 5 years. He's deserving, man. He's been a head coach for 2 years, or a manager for 2 years, and he's been to 2 World Series. You don't fire a guy for that. I mean, I was the one sitting here saying that he was in the hot seat, and that's because LA is weird, and they fired people for not winning the big game.
Mm-hmm.
But the Dodgers are definitely in the best position to not just be the best team in the division, but the best team in the National League.
I'm going Padres here. I think this is the year. They're finally going to
come out and surprise
They're
everybody.
just going to surprise the crap out of everybody.
Brandon, stop toking the bong over here, man.
No, this is, there's always that year when the expectations are so low. There's always that one team that comes out of nowhere, and I think it's the Padres this year. Some of their young guys, I think they're going to get a frontline starter this offseason, and, you just never know. Once you have, some proven leadership in there, the young guys, they start to mentor from these guys, and, I'm feeling optimistic for the Padres this year. I'm giving them my nod for the division.
I was listening to the radio the other day, and they were talking about the Padres, and how basically at this point, it's popping champagne for every victory that we can get. So I want to say if we clinch 500 this year, have a champagne shower.
Oh yeah,
I'm good with it because that's a win for me. That was
Absolutely.
that was what I wanted this year, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, if we clinch the day that we clinch 500,
we pop champagne on the pod.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a season like that. But yeah, let's get into this new segment. Be the GM. Basically, what I want you guys to do is, you pick a team that's going through either a rebuild or somewhat close to a playoff contention team. You step in as a general manager, you make the moves to turn them around, make them a winning team, put them in that playoff picture. So yeah, let's just see.
All within a year, or
no, just set them up for a plan. You could have a 2-3 year plan. With rebuilds, obviously they take some time. You look at the Padres, we've been building. Since 2014, almost 2013, 2014. So yeah, rebuilds, they take some time to turn a team around. Brandon, you want to start first? Or you want yeah?
I was going to do, it just depends on the timeline, but certainly if we're talking, starting, you have a 5-year deal on the table, and you're like, the owner's like, I'm going to give you 5 years to get this team to contention.
Let's do give us a timeline of your rebuild, why you're going to rebuild them, what's your first moves as the GM, and then any hires, fires you're going to make in that interim.
Yeah, certainly. So for me, I'm taking the New York Mets. That would be my top pick. I know they just doubled down adding Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz, but they have a front line. Their pitching rotation's one of the best, and I really think that's one of those teams that probably just, at some point just need to get the injury bug off their roster and just need to, gut house, and they could get an enormous haul for all those guys that they have. You saw the demand that they're getting for Noah Syndergaard. They could easily get, 3 top 100 prospects just for him. Then they have the Cy Young Award winner, Jacob deGrom. I think, honestly, they could easily just flip maybe 1 or 2 of those guys whose contracts are close to being off the books, and flip those for top 100 prospects, and they immediately will have a top 3 farm system in the league, and they'll still have good pieces that will help them contend within the next 2 to 3 years. So that would be the team I would be looking for. And they're in a large market too. So the New York market, they have money to spend if they can. I know they're, the inferior team in New York, but, obviously with the right leadership and someone who's going to, put the right players and personnel in the right places, they could be a championship contending team.
All right. Brandon, you're hired. Ryan, you mind if I go before you?
Go ahead, man. It's all you.
All right, so I picked the Reds. I think the Cincinnati Reds are right there. I looked at, a division in baseball that is competitive but definitely winnable, and I went with that NL Central. Obviously, the Reds were one of the 100. I think they had 100 losses last season. They have a lot of good on-field talent and veteran leadership, and like Joey Votto. But that bullpen is atrocious. I think they're always towards the bottom with team ERA. So my first moves were to get some of these young guys up to the NFL. You had some moves like Jay Bruce and the Yankees trade with Todd Frazier gave you a lot of prospects. Get these guys up for, as Brandon calls it, their cup of coffee. I think those are the guys that I'm bringing up. And then I'm firing the head coach, Jimmy Riggleman. I had to look him up because I didn't even know who the head coach was, but whoever it is, they're not doing a good job. And I'm looking at somebody that's out there on the market. I'm probably going to poach somebody from a different team, like a bench coach or something, but Joe Girardi's floating out there, so I might go after him. My second move is to go after a frontline starter. I think that they need to beef up that bullpen. I'm looking at like a Lance Lynn or Trevor Cahill, or like a Doug Fister. Honestly, I just wanted to say that name because you barely know her. Don't fist her. But yeah, I'm looking at like a top starter, and I think that I'll beef up the bullpen. And those are going to be my kind of moves. I think it's going to be a 2-3 year rebuild, and then you see them taking over that division.
Their farm system's pretty highly touted right now too.
Deep farm system, but yeah. So Ryan, who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Philadelphia Phillies. I look at a team who was very close to 500 this year. They were pretty close to being in playoff contention after the All-Star break. They kind of took a dive a little bit, but you look at players like Royce Hoskins, Aaron Nola, starting pitcher there. With the addition of Gene Segura, adding Jake Arrieta. The first thing, Gabe Kapler being a first-year coach last year obviously put them in a better position than most thought. So I'm keeping him. They got a couple big-name prospects in the top 50. Braum is a third baseman. I don't know if I'd be necessarily calling him up in the next couple years. But I'm looking at free agency. I'm looking at adding another lefty arm, possibly a Dallas Keuchel. Okay. And then, like the Phillies been saying, they got money to spend, man.
Yeah.
There's two huge names out there, and I'm going after one of them.
Big market team.
Yep. They're
you giving them one of those, record-breaking, almost NBA-esque max deals?
Dude, if Bryce Harper was interested in joining my team, I'd give him everything in my house. I mean, that dude is he's going to increase the value of your organization. He's going to increase ticket sales. And it's going to bring a livelihood to your team that most don't have.
Yeah. I mean, I think those are all three really good teams that are right on the brink of it. Definitely think that, the Phillies are right there, and they have the money to go after people. So,
then
Phillies are definitely on the brink of it. They're probably
they're so close. Within the next, because I picked a team that was really close, and it's hard to say because I feel like the Reds, they have so much young talent. They're in more of a situation to me like the Padres where you're gonna have to wait it out a couple years. Hunter Green's a huge prospect, and they still have some bad contracts on their book. But the Mets, another team, picking up Robinson Cano. I wouldn't want that on my books at all. But they have, like you said, one of the best front line pitching staffs in all of baseball. The Phillies are right there, though, and they're in a division where teams like to beat each other, so it's close. It's always close. So pushing for a division or pushing for a wild card spot, it's not far off. But again, to me, they're about two big players away from being a playoff team.
They're seriously, I could see.
But I don't think it's like the Yankees where you got to go after Machado and Harper. I think that if Machado's interested in playing third, okay.
If you would have gotten that job, you would have been dealt the dream job because somebody else set you up perfectly for success.
Absolutely. They're there, man. They're there.
They're there. Yeah.
And then, I mean, kind of tinkering off of the same subject, like, who was your team that is in the worst situation right now?
The Giants for me.
The Giants?
I think it's the Orioles.
To me, it's either
the Orioles. I agree.
You know who's another team I was close to picking, but I think it was just way too far off, is Tampa Bay Rays.
No.
I think the Rays just don't know
They
what
always
they're
have
doing.
good talent, though.
They have good talent, but it's what are they doing?
Blake Snell, man.
You have one good pitcher.
You didn't even know who Blake Snell was.
I knew who he was, but I just didn't know how the numbers that he had. You know,
I think
they just play in the hardest division. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's tough playing in that division. You have how many teams do they have to play? Like 16 times. They play that one division opponent. So it's like.
So you're playing against the Red Sox and the Yankees for 32 of your games.
Yeah,
it sucks, man. But to me, it's the Marlins. I think that the Marlins have just freaking cut off their head and are walking around with no eyes right now.
Well, that's a good one too.
I mean, even their best player right now, JT, I can't say his last name.
JT Realmuto, he's good.
He's like, get me out of here. He's like, you just traded everybody that mattered on this team. Starling Castro is our best player, and that's it.
Yeah.
Outside of Realmuto, prospects. Outside of Realmuto is probably the best catcher in baseball right now.
Absolutely. I mean, they've got nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, those are some teams that are just way off in space.
Like, if there's somebody who's like, hey, we're gonna offer you, no,
thank you.
Yeah, no.
Oh man. Well, let's wrap it up. I had the stat of the day this week.
Stat of the day, dabba-dooba-doo, stat of the day, dat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day. Bop!
I went with NFL just because I had to look it up real quick. Actually, Adrian Peterson holds the record for most rush yards in a game, and it was a sad day for us Chargers fans.
296.
296 yards.
Told ya.
In 2007 against the Chargers.
Is that Chris Johnson?
No, it was Adrian Peterson.
Oh, Adrian Peterson has a record.
Yeah. All right, that was a bad game. That was a tough day to be a Chargers fan.
But we did have the longest return in NFL history that game. So I mean,
Antonio
two records
with
broken.
like 108 yards, I think it was, or whatever. Right?
It was 109 points.
That wasn't the game Percy Harvin returned the first play of the game for a touchdown.
No, that wasn't that one.
No, that was a different Viking game.
Dude, what happened to Percy Harvin, man?
He sucked.
He got traded to the Seahawks and then disappeared.
Yeah. He was always out, too.
Well, he
went to the Bills after that.
He had that one kickoff return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and that was like his only contribution to the Seahawks that entire season, and they gave up a first-round pick for him, remember?
Yeah. It's because he came from that team with, what's his name, Aaron Hernandez, Tim Tebow, Riley Cooper. I mean, there was a freaking island of misfits there.
Yeah. Well, everyone, we are the Three Amigos in a podcast. Thank you again for tuning in and listening to us. We will be back next week. Everybody have a good week.
Bye. Later.